No, leave me alone. Go away. Ah! Beth! Beth, come quick! They're after me, Beth!
Digger, wake up! Digger, you're dreaming!
What? Oh, Beth, I'm so glad you're here. I was so scared.
It's okay now, Digger. You're safe in bed. It was just a dream.
But it seemed so real, Beth. There were 3 scary monsters coming after me, and I couldn't run fast enough. And they were going to catch me any second. And, oh, Beth.
Digger, everything's all right. I'm here now. Mom and Dad are right down the hall. You're perfectly safe. And Digger, you know there are no such things as monsters, right?
I know, Beth, but...
But what, Digger?
But can you stay in my room tonight, Beth, just in case?
Digger, I'll stay in here for a while, until you calm down a bit. But I need to get some sleep, too.
Oh, all right. It's just that my dream was so scary. Everything is so scary.
Everything? Digger, are you worried about anything else other than your dream?
Well, it's just that there seems to be a lot of scary things going on this time of year.
Oh, I see. I bet you've been thinking about Halloween, huh? It's just a couple of days away.
Yeah, Beth, I have. I guess I'm a little nervous about it because of what some kids were saying at school.
Really? What were they saying, Digger?
Well, they said that Halloween is a bad day. They said that it's a day full of bad things, like witches and evil spirits and the devil, Beth. They said that we shouldn't celebrate Halloween because of all the bad things it stands for.
Boy, that would be scary to hear, Digger. It's no wonder you've been having these nightmares.
I always thought that Halloween was a fun day, with lots of costumes and candy. But now I'm just not too sure. What if I'm doing something wrong? What if I'm not supposed to celebrate Halloween?
Well, that's a lot to think about, Digger. And if either of us are going to get to sleep, we're going to have to talk about it in the morning. For now, just know that as Christians, people that believe in Jesus, we can still celebrate Halloween.
But how, Beth? How can I celebrate Halloween?
We'll talk about it in the morning. Right now, I just want to help you to not be afraid. You know, before I said that I'm here, and Mom and Dad are here to keep you safe, but I forgot someone else who is watching over you. Someone who protects you every minute of every day and every night, just like a fortress protects the people inside. Do you know who that is, Digger?
Yeah, I think I do. Is it God, Beth?
That's right, Digger. God is right here with you this very minute, protecting you. There is a psalm in the Bible, Psalm 46, that says that He is our mighty fortress. It says that the Lord of hosts is with us. Therefore, we will not fear. We have nothing to be afraid of, Digger. Not monsters, not witches, not even death or the devil.
Nothing to fear. That's nice to know, Beth.
It sure is, Digger. Now just close your eyes, and I'll tell you about all the good things our mighty fortress does for us.
Okay, Beth.
God is our refuge and strength.
My God is like a mighty fortress, standing tall and strong. God keeps me safe within the walls, and will my whole life long. God is my refuge and my strength. God keeps me close and safe. No matter what the danger is, God is my hiding place. The mountains may come crashing down and splash into the sea. The waves may crash and lightning flash. But still God stays with me. My God is like a mighty fortress, standing tall and strong. God keeps me safe within the walls, and will my whole life long. Though wars and battles may go on outside the castle walls, I know that I don't need to fear. God's fortress cannot fall. When enemies come after me and try to do me harm, God holds them back and sends them off. God keeps me safe and warm. My God is like a mighty fortress, standing tall and strong. God keeps me safe within the walls, and will my whole life long. And if I still feel scared at all, God comes to me and speaks. Be still, and know that I am God. These words fill me with peace. Just look around and you can see the things that God has done. The battles have all ended, and our mighty God has won. My God is like a mighty fortress. I'll shout it loud and clear. The Lord Almighty is with us. Therefore we will not fear.
Good morning, Digger.
Morning, Beth.
Did you have any more nightmares?
What? Oh, no. I guess I didn't. Well, what do you know about that?
That's great, Digger.
I did have the strangest dream about being a knight in a castle, though. I wonder why.
Don't you remember, Digger? I told you the story of our God, our mighty fortress.
Oh, right. And how God protects us, like a castle protects the people inside.
Therefore, we will not fear.
That's great to know, Beth. But I still have a lot of questions about Halloween. Like, why would my friends say that it was a bad day? Why would they say it was evil?
Those are good questions, Digger. And your friends were right to be concerned about some of the things associated with Halloween.
Not the candy, I hope.
No, not the candy, Digger.
Oh, good. I think I'd really miss the candy. So what kind of things are there to be concerned about, Beth?
Well, Digger, it all started long ago, long before Jesus was born. There were people back then who didn't believe in God, who didn't believe that we will have a life in heaven with God forever.
Whoa, they didn't believe in God? What did they believe?
They believed that the world is filled with spirits,
Oh, I'm glad you waited until morning to tell me that, Beth.
and that sometimes those spirits would try to play terrible tricks on people.
Tricks? Tricks like what?
They believed that in the autumn of the year, the spirits would go into animals and try to scare people. But the people also believed that if they wore scary disguises, they could frighten those spirits away.
Disguises? Is that how wearing scary costumes got started?
That's right, Digger.
So maybe I shouldn't wear a costume this Halloween because it's saying I believe in spirits and not in God.
Wait, Digger. I said there were things to be concerned about at Halloween, but I didn't say that we can't celebrate. People today have turned the tradition of wearing costumes and playing tricks into something fun. In fact, it was Christians like us who gave Halloween its name and turned it into a joyful holiday, not a scary one.
Wow, Beth. I never knew that Halloween is part of a Christian holiday.
It really is, Digger. Halloween comes from the words All Hallows Eve, and All Hallows means all the holies, or all the saints. Halloween takes place the night before the Christian holiday of All Saints' Day, a day when we celebrate the lives of all of Jesus' followers who have died, but who we know have been raised back to life in heaven with him.
So, it's not about scary spirits at all.
That's right, Digger. Saints are not ghosts or spirits. They are alive and living with Jesus, who rose from the dead and ascended into heaven to make a home for all of us, just as he promised.
Atop a mountain one fine day, a group of friends climbed up my way. One of those friends was great indeed, for it was Jesus in the lead. Those friends of Jesus did not stop until they reached the tippy top. Then Jesus spoke quite loud and clear. I went up close so I could hear. He said, "I have to leave today. When I'll be back I cannot say, but there's no need to feel so blue. My Holy Spirit lives in you." Then Jesus said, "You all must go down from the hill and to and fro." He told his friends and me and you that we've important work to do. He said, "Tell every boy and girl to spread God's love to all the world." And then I heard the Savior say, "I will be with you every day." What happened next? I cannot lie. I saw him rising to the sky. Up to the clouds I watched him go. That's pretty high, I tell you so. That very day I came on down, and now I go from town to town to tell each person that I see that Jesus rose for you and me. So I've told you the super news that Jesus lives each day with you and watches you from heaven on high. Now it's your turn to tell. Goodbye.
Wow, Beth, that really was a wonderful story. It's great to know that Jesus is in heaven and that someday I'll be there with him.
Right, Digger. And because we know that, we don't have to be afraid of anything. We know that there are bad things in the world. We know that the devil is real and puts evil things around us. But we also know something much more powerful, that the Lord of hosts is with us.
Therefore, we will not fear.
That's great, Digger.
And since I know there are no such things as monsters or ghosts, I can just have a good time wearing my silly costumes because it's fun.
And because we know we have nothing to fear, we can use those costumes to help us laugh at the imaginary things instead of being scared of them.
That's a good idea, Beth.
Thanks, Digger.
Hey, Beth, are there any other Halloween traditions we can use to make our celebration fun?
Well, one of my favorite traditions is carving pumpkins.
Oh, I love that too. But Beth, is that okay to do?
Well, it doesn't hurt the pumpkin, if that's what you mean, Digger.
No, Beth. I mean, well, what do jack-o'-lanterns mean?
Good question, Digger. Let's talk about it while we pick out our pumpkins.
Okay, Beth, lead the way.
Here we are, Digger. 2 perfect pumpkins, fresh from the field and ready to carve. And I have a safety pumpkin carver right here.
Oh boy, this is going to be fun. So, what were you going to tell me about the jack-o'-lanterns, Beth?
Well, Digger, did you know that the first jack-o'-lanterns weren't even pumpkins? They were turnips.
Turnips? Blech! You've got to be joking.
Nope, I'm not, Digger. The legend goes that a man named Jack hollowed out a turnip and carved a scary face in it to frighten away the evil spirits that were following him one autumn day.
Just like the people who put on costumes to scare away the evil spirit.
Exactly, Digger. But what did we learn about those spirits?
That we've nothing to fear.
Because
the Lord of hosts is with us. Right, Beth?
That's right, Digger. Nowadays, people carve pumpkins because they're bigger, and they're prettier, and they're easier to hollow out than a turnip. And pumpkins are good reminders of the harvest season in the autumn, and of all of the good food that comes with it.
Like pumpkin pie?
Yes, Digger. And corn, and squash, and wheat, and apples, and grapes, and sweet potatoes.
And pumpkin pie?
And pumpkin pie. You know, this pumpkin just reminded me of something else.
What, Beth?
There's a story from the Bible all about a wonderful harvest. And the funny thing is that the farmer in the story is really God, and the plants that he's harvesting are really us. Let's open up these pumpkins and I'll tell you all about it.
Jesus loved to sit and teach. He taught by telling stories. His tales had earthly characters, but told of heaven's glories. Once on a farm, his story starts, a man was busy sowing. That means he planted seeds about by grabbing them and throwing. And by the time the sun went down, all of his seeds were planted. The time had come to go to sleep, and that's just what the man did. But while he slept, his enemy came creeping in the garden. He planted weeds among the seeds, that sneaky little varmint. The days went by, the wheat grew high. The garden was inspected. So many weeds were growing there, a crime was soon suspected. But did the farmer pull the weeds? Oh no, he didn't dare to. That might have hurt the healthy wheat, and it would not be fair to. He let the wheat and weeds alone to grow there with each other. At harvest time, he piled them up apart from one another. The healthy wheat went in the barn, just as the man desired. The weeds were taken far away and burned up in a fire. That's where the story ends, my friends, but here's the hidden meaning. We are the wheat, and God's the man, and sin is what needs weeding. Just grow up healthy every day, believing in the Savior. Leave sin alone, and when you've grown, you'll live with God forever.
What did you think of that story, Digger?
That was really good, Beth. I like to think of myself as a plant growing in God's field, and it gives me another good idea for a costume.
Were you scared at all when the enemy came and sowed the bad seed in with the good plants?
No, Beth, I wasn't scared. I knew that those plants were growing for God, and I know that when the Lord of hosts is with us, we have nothing to fear.
That's super, Digger. You're really getting it now. We don't even have to be afraid of God's enemy, the devil, or the sin and evil things that he puts around us in the world, because we're growing for God. And when our lives are over, God brings us all into heaven, as he promised, just like the farmer harvested all the plants into the safety of his barn.
I think that story would have been even funnier if those plants had been pumpkins, Beth. What do you think?
Actually, Digger, I think that's a really good idea.
Yeah. You do? Well, Beth, I was just being silly.
No, Digger, I think your pumpkin idea is a good one. I think we could make our own parable about a pumpkin. A pumpkin parable.
Now I think you're the silly one, Beth. I don't know the first thing about telling parables. I'm not even sure what a parable is.
A parable is a story that uses things here on earth to teach us about things in heaven. The parable we just heard told about a farmer who planted wheat, but it taught us something completely different. It taught us how God helps us grow strong in his word and brings us and all the saints to heaven forever.
But I thought only Jesus could tell parables, Beth.
We all can tell parables, Digger. It's a fun way to share what you believe about God.
If you say so, Beth, but I'm still not sure.
Go on and give it a try, Digger. I bet you can tell a wonderful parable about a pumpkin. I'd really be happy to hear it. Don't be scared.
I know, Beth. We've nothing to fear. Okay, here goes.
Sometimes I think that I'm a pumpkin, please don't think it's odd. I'm growing in a pumpkin patch that's planted there by God. God picks me from the pumpkin patch and washes off the dirt. Scoops out the seeds of sin and hate and anger, greed and hurt. And then to show how much I'm loved, God marks me with a sign and opens up my eyes and mouth, all part of God's design. I'm a pumpkin, I'm made by God's design. I live with Jesus in my heart, and with His love I shine. Then filled with love, God sets me out for everyone to see. So all the pumpkins in the patch can see God's love in me. God's love is shining in my heart, I know that He is near. The Lord of hosts is here with us, there's nothing we need fear. I'm a pumpkin, I'm made by God's design. I live with Jesus in my heart, and with His love I shine. Sing with me! Sometimes I think that I'm a pumpkin, please don't think it's odd. I'm growing in a pumpkin patch that's planted there by God. God picks me from the pumpkin patch and washes off the dirt. Scoops out the seeds of sin and hate and anger, greed and hurt. And then to show how much I'm loved, God marks me with a sign and opens up my eyes and mouth, all part of God's design. I'm a pumpkin, I'm made by God's design. I live with Jesus in my heart, and with His love I shine. Then filled with love, God sets me out for everyone to see. So all the pumpkins in the patch can see God's love in me. God's love is shining in my heart, I know that He is near. The Lord of hosts is here with us, there's nothing we need fear. I'm a pumpkin, I'm made by God's design. I live with Jesus in my heart, and with His love I shine.
Digger, that was wonderful. That was stupendous. That was...
Did you like it, Beth?
Did I like it? I loved it, Digger. I don't think I'll ever tell that old tale of the jack-o'-lantern again. From now on, I'm going to share your pumpkin parable with everyone I meet.
You will, Beth? You really will?
Sure I will, Digger. I think everyone would love to know that Jesus is the light of the world and that His light shines in each of us.
I guess I really do feel like that freshly lit up pumpkin, Beth.
Why do you say that, Digger?
I didn't know I had it in me.
Good one, Digger.
Maybe I'll use that as my Halloween trick-or-treat.
I think a better Halloween treat would be to share your parable, Digger. I can't think of a better treat than hearing the good news of God's love for us. And I can't think of a better way to let the light of Jesus shine out from inside you.
I guess you're right, Beth. We can have fun celebrating Halloween with all the parties and costumes and decorations. And we have a chance to tell others about Jesus.
That's a great way to celebrate, Digger. Oh, look, it's getting late. It's time to put our lights in these pumpkins.
Just like Jesus puts His light inside us. Right, Beth?
That's right, Digger. Just like Jesus, the light of the world, puts His light inside us.
Okay, Beth. Here goes.
Oh, those are pretty, Digger. Great job. Now we can put on our costumes and get ready for trick-or-treating at the Halloween party.
Oh, right, our costume. I almost forgot, Beth. In fact, I did forget. Beth, I forgot my costume. Oh no, Beth, what am I going to be for Halloween?
Calm down, Digger. It's okay. We'll figure something out. There's still some time. Let's think about it and help you decide what you'd like to be.
Well, I would like my costume to show that God takes care of me, like he took care of the plants in the story of the farmer.
Right. That's a good one.
So I could dress up like a plant.
Well, that's a great idea, Digger.
Yeah, but a plant isn't very scary.
Do you want to be something scary, Digger?
Well, I'd like to let people know that when God is near, they have nothing to fear. Like in that story about God being our mighty fortress.
Yeah, that was a very good one, too.
So I could be a knight in shining armor, like I was in my dream.
That's a good idea, too.
But I'm just not sure. I don't know how to decide.
You know, Digger, I know one other psalm from the Bible that talks about both of those things, and it might help you decide what to be for Halloween.
Oh, great, Beth. I think this is going to be our best Halloween celebration ever.
If God were a shepherd and I were a sheep, I bet I'd be happy indeed. He'd be the best shepherd a sheep ever had, and give me just what a sheep needs. If God were a shepherd and I were a sheep, I'd dine on the world's greenest grass. And when I was thirsty, he'd show me a place where the water is clear as a glass. If God were a shepherd and I were a sheep, my bed would be heaven's front lawn. Each night I would dream all the best sheepy dreams, and wake up refreshed with the dawn. If God were a shepherd and I were a sheep, I'd follow wherever he'd go. The path that he chooses is always the best. The sheep in his flock all say so. If God were a shepherd and I were a sheep, and danger was looming ahead, I wouldn't be sheepish. I wouldn't be scared. I'd follow wherever he led. If God were a shepherd and I were a sheep, he'd carry a big shepherd's staff. When wolves in the valley would howl at us, I'd lift up my head and I'd laugh. If God were a shepherd and I were a sheep, I'd sit at his table to eat. And if any lions were passing that way, I'd stick out my tongue and I'd bleat. If God were a shepherd and I were a sheep, he'd pour sweet perfume on my head, and I would be known as the best-smelling sheep that anyone ever had met. If God were a shepherd and I were a sheep, he'd fill up my cup to the brim. I'd never run out, and I'd never run off. I'd always stay right there with him. Well, God is my shepherd, and I am his sheep. He'll always be my loving guide. I'll live at his house for as long as can be, and never be far from his side.
Boy, Beth was right. That story of the Lord as my shepherd really summed it up. God really does protect us and lead us every day of our lives. And we have nothing to fear when our shepherd is near. Not evil things, not the devil, not even death. And when our life is over on earth, God will lead us to his home in heaven to live with him forever. Now that's a great reason to celebrate.
Digger, are you ready to celebrate Halloween?
I sure am, Beth. I have my costume on and I'm ready to go.
All right then, little sheep. If you're ready, let's go get some candy.
Hey, wait a minute, Beth. Did you
Trick or treat, Digger. Happy Halloween.
Happy Halloween, Beth.